5,060 years ago, the flat Earth was created by the grand architect of the universe. Do you actually have any proof of your own that what I just said isn't true? Anyway, Alex Jones was removed from a lot of websites in a 12-hour span in early August 2018, and even more websites in the following days. I listen to his show on occasion. He has this great way of getting me to see a side of the argument in regards to current events that is both correct and not adequately covered elsewhere. I've listened to over 2,000 hours of his radio show, and when his program is taken in the context he intends, he is never hateful, abusive, or racist. The allegations that got him removed from YouTube and all those sites are baseless, whereas the conspiracy theories he promotes are not baseless for the most part. If you actually look into what he's talking about, like if you listen to a show and you take notes and you listen to what he's talking about, the stuff that he talks about is not baseless. There's actually a lot of depth to the stuff that he just says off the top of it, seemingly off the top of his head on his radio show. And that's one of the things I appreciate about his show. I like the depth, and I find that it's not insulting to my intelligence like some other talk radio I'm aware of. And so it's a shame that, after all, he is just a talk radio host. Like a lot of talk radio hosts, that's just what he does, and he happens to have gotten a lot more fame than most talk radio hosts. And I think that certain big tech companies are just bullying him at the moment, and it's pretty sad, because sometimes his show can be like a pep rally where he picks an issue and he just rallies the entire episode about the issue, and sometimes that can really hype me up about stuff, and I really like that and appreciate that about his show, and I think that he's being treated unfairly by the people who are censoring him. In other news, one person who has academic and otherwise social credentials, who I have listened to speak via the internet, said that he believes that technology is advancing at such a pace that by the year 2045 we'll have commercialized public teleportation. This concept seems absurd unless you listen to the particular man explain his case, but I'm not going to cite who he is since I don't plan on going deep into the subject here today. I'm just going to say that I think I heard somewhere that some lab somewhere successfully teleported a single photon. So if that's the case, we've got a long way to go in order for that man's prediction about 2045 to be true. But look how cell phones evolved in the past 10 years. Who really knows where we'll be in the next 10 years? Who knows where we'll be in 2045? Now for the part where I talk about Flat Earth. Now I'll only talk about it briefly on this episode. And if you haven't seen it yet, look up Matthew Boylan, also known as Matthew Powerland, and specifically look for a video where he's showing pictures of what we've been told is the Earth, and he's asking the question, is this a painting or a photo? Look for that content. If you can find it, watch it and scrutinize it. I think he still uses a YouTube channel called the NASA channel, which is all one word. And now, for the rather long part of the episode, where I'll talk to you about ayahuasca. The tea called ayahuasca is referred to as an entheogen. People who drink it have profound experiences in the hours following the drinking of it. I drank it twice in my life, once in 2008 and once in 2009. I don't plan on ever drinking it again, but my experiences with it were positive. And after both of those experiences, I wrote about them. I'd like to share with you what I wrote after midnight on the early morning of November 14th, 2008, about the first ayahuasca experience I had, which was in the evening of November 13th, 2008. So I wrote the following section in 2008. Here's what I wrote in 2008. I had an all-around positive experience with ayahuasca tonight. The expert told me to contemplate questions for at least 5 minutes before I drank the teas, but I knew about this requirement, so I walked to his house for 2 hours before the experience. During the 2-hour walk to his house, I contemplated the questions to which I seeked answers, and those questions now seem so small and pointless compared to the hugeness of the answers I was given. Correction, I wasn't given any of the answers. I was encouraged towards the answers by two friends who appeared to me, but I did all the figuring out of the answers all by myself. Every time I'd figure out an answer, a gate would open and invite me in. There were gates for the right answers, and there were gates for the wrong answers. But you could always tell which gate was the right one to try to get through, because that's where the two friends were standing and encouraging me to figure out the puzzle. Each gate had its own puzzle, and each time you figured out the solution to the puzzle, the gate would open. The way this is done is that there is a set of visualizations that you see on the path to two gates. If you figure out the meaning of those visualizations, the proper gate opens. If you assume before taking time to think it out, and if you're wrong, the negative gate would open. Inside the negative gates were extremely vivid presentations that were meant only to keep you distracted. Whereas if you follow the path through the positive gates, if you stay on the right course towards the truth, the visualizations remain not so vivid, but just vivid enough that you recognize each object for what it is. When the gates open, be it a positive gate or a negative gate, there is something scary while passing through the gate. But I'd always smile whenever the scary stuff happened, because I recognized that it was there to teach me, and recognizing that it was there to teach me sometimes gave me a better than orgasmic feeling. The things that scare us are only there to teach us. There is so much truth to that. But anyway, I saw what the universe is. It's a machine created by a civilization that is outside of it. The top scientists of that civilization, whom I saw in their lab coats, created the universe, and they created two balls, a bright ball of light and a dark ball of darkness. Both of those balls float throughout the universe searching for planets, but what they're really searching for is each other. The other is the person who completes you. For a male, the person is a female. For a female, the person is a male. A gay person or a transgendered person has the challenge of searching for the person on the opposite gender who appeals to them more profoundly than any person of their gender. Okay, I want to stop here and say I wrote this in 2008. This is what I believed after having my experience, but I now tend to think that maybe ayahuasca is more of an internal journey, and it's a portrait of who you are at the time you took it. Anyway, so I'd like to continue reading word for word what I wrote in 2008. And that might just be impossible considering this moment of time, so gay marriage is totally great and should be encouraged. Likewise, everything should be encouraged. See, we're set up in this world as sparkles of light that float from the big ball of light into bodies. Each body is a game. The big white ball of light is trying to create a situation on Earth where there is just enough diversity that it is an infinitely interesting gaming experience for every sparkle of light. Everyone should be laughing together, playing together, having sex together, joking together, dancing together, singing together, jumping up and down, and just having fun without restrictions. And that's what the experience was before I asked my question. My question was, what is truth? When I asked what is truth, a different program started running. A program with specific goals and parameters. I'm having trouble finding where my line starts. The line, okay. That's when I started on the journey towards the set of gates. When creating things in this world for other people, we must create things that provide the path of least resistance to the most truth. That phrase is so important. The path of least resistance to the most truth. Anyway, so I wrote Catland is real. Catland is a planet where enlightened sparkle of lights play the game of being a talking cat. Now remember, this was written after a drug experience. Those enlightened cats know the truth, which is that everyone should realize the truth at their own pace. Everyone is puzzling out things because of the different mazes in our world, but we must create those mazes so that people can realize that those mazes are useless. But we must put a blunt symbol of the truth in each thing we create so that people are encouraged to realize why it's pointless. The only thing that matters is laughing and playing and having sex and singing and dancing and jumping up and down and pretty colors and anything that gives you good vibes and lets you share those good vibes with others. People create useless things and useless businesses and useless everything. People create those things that divide us when they don't yet know that the real truth is that we should all be doing all those great things together freely and without restriction. The reptilians do indeed exist. There are sparkles of black light from the black ball, but the black ball is the other, and it, and everything from and of it, should be embraced with love and compassion. Those of us who know enough to know the reality of the reptilian thing shouldn't be hating them. Don't you dare hate them. They are beautiful, as are you. The only reason they are scary is because they are the other. But when they do something that can make you afraid, you don't have to be afraid. They are only scary because they are a mystery, but mysteries should be embraced and not feared. The true meaning of all these words will escape those of you who aren't ready for it. Ayahuasca, the kind that I had, is 2 teas. If you drink 1 tea first, it's sour, and then you drink 1 tea first, it's sour, and then 15 minutes later, you drink the other tea. It's bitter. The 2 teas mix in your stomach, you puke them up, in an emotionally cleansing positive puke that is difficult to explain, and then you lay down and join the dancing and frolicking. There's the dancing and frolicking until you start to ask questions. I asked the question, what is truth? And immediately another program loaded. I was at the beginning of one of those amusement park rides where you're riding a car on a track through a lot of visualizations. The first visualization I was shown was Jesus with a spider's web coming out of him. The spider's web covered the earth. That's very obviously the control system of religion keeping the earth in its web. And when I expressed the meaning of what I saw, that it was religions keeping the world in a trap, then I was rode down the track towards the next visualization. And every set of visualizations ultimately led to a set of gates, a positive gate and a negative gate. There was something scary in both, but there was more encouragement towards the positive one. If you follow your heart and keep in touch with who you are, you will see your own way through the puzzles you're trying to solve, the deception set up so masterfully throughout the world, and you will find your the moment. This presentation I was shown was a computer program that is inside of every human brain and triggered by ayahuasca. But you can also trigger the exact same computer program by meditating and doing other techniques to learn productive dreaming. This experience felt to me as my quote-unquote the moment. I learned the truth about time and how one moment can be every moment, and how time is an illusion, and how everything that has ever happened is one solid objective viewed from another dimension. I saw the nature of the universe in its splendor and the people who created it in their lab coats. I learned that cats may have smaller brains, but that's only because they don't have the irrelevant stuff. Cats are more evolved than we are, spiritually speaking, and they are closer to total enlightenment. I was definitely enlightened by this experience. As I was realizing things, the names and faces of famous authors and famous teachers, etc., who had said those things, flashed past me. But their names and faces didn't matter, since we are all one. The information is what matters, and the information is what should be spread. Just because I saw the universe doesn't mean I can describe it with our language. Our language does have its flaws, and will definitely one day have a perfect language that unites all the relevant ideas. But what's most important is to encourage anyone who is doing anything, regardless of whether or not what they're doing is relevant. If you encourage them in an irrelevant activity, they will figure out the lessons that the irrelevant activity exists to teach them sooner than if you smack them or yell at them. Don't ever smack someone or yell at them unless they have given you that permission, that trust. There is so much more that needs to be said, but other challenges await. Have all the greatest love and peace that you can find, and always be searching for greater. until you find your quote-unquote the moment. And when you've found your the moment, you must remind everyone to lighten up and joke and play and love and dance, etc. You must encourage everyone on whatever they're doing, however irrelevant, because they're doing it as part of their own personal path. We are all friends, and we all should be encouraging each other on every path, and we should ultimately all find our the other. For a man, the other is a woman. For a woman, the other is a man. But for lesbians and transgenders, the person of the opposite sex who has the most profound effect on you might not be found unless you stay the course. You're looking for a rare and special person of the opposite sex if you are born gay or lesbian or transgender. But the opposite sex is the other because you don't understand it enough. You even fear it and misinterpret it sometimes. But smile and see where it takes you. It's all good. Ride the train. Oh, but before I finish typing this, and I typed this in like 2008, my experience ended with a major realization, and that's when I sat up and realized that I was finished. I asked for a ride home and went home. I didn't need to spend the night there since I was already shown what I needed to see, and it's all good. Well, the above segment was written in November of 2008 about the first time I drank ayahuasca. I only drank ayahuasca one other time, and I don't plan on ever drinking it again. I got what I wanted from it, and I don't feel like I'll ever need any more of it. And the following few paragraphs were written on March 13th, 2009, about the second ayahuasca experience I had, which was on March 12th, 2009. I asked a question, got the answer. Then I sang and danced and laughed and played. The answer will be put to good use. The elaborate experience I described in November prepared me for the moment when I could just ask and get the answer. For when your curiosity is satisfied by answers, you'll be free to sing and dance and laugh and play. I sat up about an hour and a half after I laid down, and I was told that that was a record for ayahuasca experiences, but all it took was an hour and a half to find the answer to the question I asked. There's a person I tend to deal with in my life, and sometimes I piss her off without intending to piss her off, so I just wanted to know something about her that would allow me to have conversations with her without pissing her off. And I was shown a few scenes about times in her childhood when she was injured and powerless, and how it translates into her current need to feel powerful and in control. I felt the joy that she feels at those times when she feels as if she is holding the whole world in her hands, and I felt the sorrow that she feels when she's not in control of a situation. But most notably, I was shown that when she was a child, she felt as if picking up an orange meant that she was strong. And she got older and bigger, oranges got smaller, and she didn't need to be so strong to pick one up. So she's frustrated when she doesn't have something heavy to hold on to make her feel strong. The most important image I saw was when I picked up a huge orange above my head and golden sparkles surrounded my strong arms. A feeling of joy from feeling strong. And that's the image that I'll see in my head every time I deal with that individual. That image will remind me that in my interactions with her, she wants to feel strong, and I should only interact with her in ways that allow her to feel the joy that she feels when she feels strong. My first experience with ayahuasca in November gave me an image of the entire universe. I can put that image in my head whenever I want to regain perspective. And my second experience gave me an image of arms holding up a giant orange. Both images, the universe image and the orange image, have a lot of meaning to me, and a lot is realized in my head when I picture the universe image, and a lot is realized in my head when I picture the orange image. So now I have two images that I can put into my head at any time, like two icons that if you click them you open a program. Well, each of those images is designed to open thought processes that help me, in much the way that an icon is designed to open a computer program that is designed to help me. The universe image is to help me in dealings with everything, and the orange image is to help me in dealings with a particular individual. When I'm in conversation with her, all I have to do is picture that orange, and I'll respect that she needs to feel power in the situation. She needs to feel as if she's holding something heavy so that she is strong. I need to acknowledge the heavy things that she is holding, and I need to express my acknowledgement of her burdens in honest ways that express my respect for the person who holds those burdens that only she can hold. And after realizing this, there was a lot of singing and dancing, laughter and playing. Good. The above was written in March of 2009, and it was about the second time I drank ayahuasca, which was the final time I ever drank it, and I don't plan on ever drinking it again. And I'd like to mention that even though I was trying to get a better understanding of a certain individual the second time I drank that, I still don't feel as if I properly understand that individual, and I also, things did not get better between myself and that individual. That person remains a source of hostility towards me in the world. The next section is from May of 2009, and it is about the preparation of ayahuasca. Alrighty, now here is the instructions for the preparation of ayahuasca tea, as written by the person who gave me the tea the 2 times I drank it. 5 grams of Syrian rue seeds, also known as Paganum harmella, 8 grams of Mimosa hostilis bark, also known as Jerima. Step-by-step instructions. You should fast for 12 hours before taking the tea, and make sure that you have not taken any drugs for 12 hours, especially antidepressants or SSRIs in the last 3 weeks. You could actually die if you've taken such drugs before drinking the tea. So therefore, that's one of the reasons why this tea is actually... You know what? Yeah, I'll go ahead with the instructions. Also, don't drink alcohol and caffeine, as this may cause a bad reaction to the tea. For more specific diet instruction, look on the internet. Find a site that explains diet instruction for ayahuasca. Number 1, make sure you perform the tea ceremony in a well-known, comfortable atmosphere where there will be no interruptions for the next 4 to 5 hours. You should have a purging pail close just in case you get further nauseated during the ceremony. You may want to remove any clocks or pictures in the room that may cause confusion during the trip. Having someone there to keep you grounded, a seater, during the treatment is recommended. Most of the time the person taking the tea will be lying down in a comfortable position and may need to cover up with blankets if they start to feel a chill. Number 2. First, start off by putting the Mimosa hostilis bark in a drink blender and grinding as much of the powder out of the bark as possible. Place the finished bark and powder in a stainless steel pot along with 4 cups of purified or distilled water and bring to a boil. Use some water in the blender to rinse the extra powder left behind, and then add that to the mimosa brew as well. The mimosa should boil for about 45 minutes, and the person making the brew must ensure that the water doesn't fully evaporate. You will have to keep adding water to it to ensure this. Number 3. Place the Syrian rue seeds in a mortar and pelter and grind for 1 minute. 15 minutes after the mimosa brew started to boil, add the Syrian rue seeds to another stainless steel pot with 2 cups of water and bring to a boil, also ensuring that the distilled purified water does not fully evaporate. The Syrian rue brew should boil for about 15 minutes. Number 4. Add 1 tablespoon of lemon or lime juice to each of the boiling brews. Number 5. After boiling the Syrian rue seeds for 15 minutes, let the brew condense to an easily drinkable size, about half a cup. Strain seeds out of the brew and keep only the Syrian tea liquid. Let cool or add an ice cube to the tea to quicken cooling. Then drink. The tea is very bitter, so you may want to close your nose and drink it all in one shot. Number 6. 15 minutes after drinking the Syrian rue brew, condense the mimosa bark brew to the same sizable portion. Strain bark out of the brew and keep only the mimosa tea liquid. Cool, then drink it all in one shot. Number 7. You should feel the first effects after 15 to 30 minutes after taking the brew. You will most likely feel nauseated and will probably feel the need to purge. This is an emotional purge and will feel much better when you have done it. And purging, that just means throwing up. and it might mean taking a crap of diarrhea. This could be done in the toilet for convenience. When you feel better, move to the room you had already set up and lay down. The effects should be apparent at this point, especially when you close your eyes. The trip should last approximately 2 to 4 hours and should be finished when you can walk with ease and are clear-minded. That was a word-for-word copy of instructions that were written by the guy who gave me ayahuasca the 2 times I drank it. At the time it was written, you were able to buy the necessary products from a website called bouncingbearbotanicals.com. I know that that site still exists, but I haven't checked if they still have those products. There is much I want to say about opinions that have changed in regards to things that I said about my experiences. Like, for one thing, I currently believe that ayahuasca is a liar. It is a teacher, but it is a liar. It lies to you. One reason I believe it lies to you is because at the end of my first experience with it, I saw the earth as a globe, whereas now I'm a flat earther and I believe that the globe is a lie. So that's just food for thought. Make up your own mind about it. I'm not telling you to do it. I only did it because I felt an inner compulsion to try it, and I do not feel that compulsion anymore. But this was just for entertainment purposes, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe.